What's up, YouTube? I'm your host, Brendan Manis of the Bag of Hunt and Fish fishing channel. I wanted to let you guys know that the reason why I did not post the past 3 or 4, if not 5 days, I was with my girlfriend, but things happened between her and I, so I tried to save my relationship, but I couldn't. But no need to talk about that. Alright, for all you, I had a couple questions from a couple people from international, well, not international, but out of state that fish for trout. They asked me what I use for trout and what I do for trout and my techniques and rigs of what I do. But for all you people that know this is my travel case for when I go fishing. The rod I use is the black one for trout fishing. And I do have a fly rod. I gotta work on some things on it. But I use my 6.5. I believe it's, hold on, let me grab this out. I'm pretty sure, medium action. It is, actually, wrong. This is a 6-foot, it's a sturdy rod down here. But this is what I use for my trout fishing. It's an ugly stick paired up with a Shakespeare. I don't know the real right off. Shakespeare 2500 with an ugly stick. That is Shakespeare. I use braided line because 1, I trust braided, and 2, if I were to get caught on a, say for instance, a rock or a stick, I can grab the line. I always grab down right here. I don't know why people grab it from right here. Grab from right here and flick it. Because I hear if you flick it down here, it vibrates and it goes to the lure or whatever setup you guys have. Because it vibrates and it gets as it keeps going until it gets to your setup, it creates a wave of like kinetic energy to hit the lure and all that, and unhooks wherever you're hooked. And just so you guys know, I am going fishing tomorrow. I'm thinking about making a video on that. Comment down below what you guys want to see. Either fishing video or something else. Something special. But I'm going to show you how I tie whatever I use on there tomorrow. But what I use for trout fishing, I use rooster-tails, inline spinners for moving water like your rivers, your creeks, I also use Kastmasters. I had a Kastmaster catch my biggest trout. My biggest trout was 18 inches. It was a wild brown trout. I wish I could have gotten it mounted, but it was not a male. I prefer males because they're not, they're more beautiful. Just refreshing H2O, which is water, if you guys like your chemistry. But I use rooster-tails and kastmasters and inline spinners while I'm fishing in rivers and creeks, moving water. But when it comes to still fishing, like your ponds, your lakes, your water that's not moving, I usually normally put a worm on with a size 6, 7, or 8, if not 9 size hooks, because trout do get big. Excuse me. But and I also use trout bait. I never bothered to mess with trout bait just because, like, it's not the sting, it's what happens after. Because like as soon as I get home, it's like I want to eat, but I have to wash my hands. So always wash your hands. But I would wash your hands no matter what, now that the COVID-19, or as they call it, the coronavirus, it's just a milder version of the flu, really. And more people die from the flu, so I don't see how this is more better as the flu, worse than the flu. But yeah, I use trout bait with their size hooks too. Don't ever go too light. I would always go heavy. Make sure it's on there, packed and jammed, good on the hook. And then I would put a sinker on. Don't go too heavy with a sinker. I'd go with like split shots, like your normal split shots. Put one, if not 2 on. The more you go heavier with it, you're gonna get less bites, because like the trout can feel the line. They're not like other fish, like your panfish or your other like suckers and carp, because carp and suckers, you would normally have to use like a small, like a smaller setup, like my micro fishing with the 4-pound test with I believe the rod is 5 something. I do micro fishing because, like all the other bigger species, like your basses, trout, just so you guys know, if you're any of the local boys, I would hit up Juniata in the fall, because Pennsylvania Game Commission don't know this, but Juniata has actually salmon in it. The Fish and Boat Commission don't know that. They don't know that actually, if you think about it, Juniata is actually connected to the Susquehanna. So, because salmon are more of like your saltwater and freshwater. I'm not calling it brackish because it's not brackish water, but they spawn in the fresh water, then go back out to the ocean if any of them make it. Because after they spawn, they die. And salmon go from salt water, fish up towards the streams, go up in the stream, spawn, and then die. And then whatever is around feed off the salmon. And actually, salmon's really freaking good. I'm trying to figure out where I put my spinner rooster-tails. But for rooster-tails, I would prefer, now, during the winter, a lot of people don't know this, but when you are fishing for trout, use your rooster-tails and your spinners and kastmasters, because people don't know a lot about this, but the fish have a harder bite strike on a moving lure than steel fishing. So I would recommend in the winter for trout fishing, use your spinners, your kastmasters, and your rooster-tails. And when it comes to your fall season, same thing. Spring, I would use whatever, because stock trout don't know what to do, because like they're not in their natural presentation like how they are when they're in a hatchery. So I would use whatever, but in the spring, because that's when they stock. And then you got your spring to summer fall transition. I'd go from whatever you use to still fishing, because you have more of a bite, but make sure you use a good reaction thing. Not reaction thing. You get more of a bite. You get more bites if you go still fishing when you go from that spring to summer transition. Then summer, I would hit the streams pretty hard with your fly fishing, because that's when the whole caddis flies and all that. Don't be afraid to use hillgrammites for trout fishing too, because that's what, out in the wild, that's what they eat. And going from that summer to fall transition, I would use your flies and your rooster-tails and your spinners and kastmasters. And you already guys know, for your whole winter, use your moving baits. But yeah, with your trout setup, the weight, the line weight, I would probably use between 6 and maybe, I would say 14, if not 16 pound test. They do make 2 pound tests, but for trout fishing, but I wouldn't recommend that, because like that's too light. And trout are finicky, like really finicky, like dead on finicky. And until next time, keep fishing, never stop. and practice your CPR, which is catch, photo, and release. Till next time, tight lines, keep fishing. And if you guys need any questions or anything, don't be afraid to comment down below, because I do go through all that. And if you guys want to see anything, message me personally. And just do you. Be yourself.